Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're hearing us from. My name is Olutosin Oladosu Adebowale. I'm a transformer from Training for Transformation. The media team today, we are with our guest, Sally Timmel. Sally is the co-founder of Training for Transformation in Claremont, Cape Town, South Africa. And many of us today are graduates of this great institution. Next week, February 12th, will be 105 posthumous birthday of Anne. And Hope is the co-founder of the Institute of Transformation in Claremont, South Africa. And we are in a celebrating mood. That is why today, our first guest in our program will be Sally. Sally is from the USA, but she has worked extensively in Africa before she retired. Today, you are with us, and our guest is Sally. Behind the camera is Moses Obi. We work together on this program. Welcome. Have your seat so that you can learn from our great mentor, Sally. Hello, Sally. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
We are so excited to see you, so happy that you are with us. And I'm going to go straight to our question. We have few questions because we are looking forward to spend a day with you soon. The first question here is, what triggering moment birthed Training for Transformation, and how has that fared over the years? What triggered that?
I was in the United States going to Boston University to do adult education, and I was told there was a South African white woman coming to the same program, and I didn't want to do much with her. We were both members of the GRAIL, an international women's organization that had started in 1921, over 100 years ago. So we met and we were studying participatory learning and participatory work. And this is at that time. The GRAIL member's husband had started an institute and he invited Paulo Freire to come for 1 year to Harvard University. So Anna and I knew that because of the GRAIL connection. So we went to study with Paulo Freire for 1 year. Every week we were in a seminar with them. Then Anna and I did work and combined the Freire method of conscientization along with participatory methods. So we had these two things brought together. And that is what expanded the work. But we were doing anti-racism work, white on white, because racism in the United States is very strong, as you probably know. So we did that work together. We found that we worked well together. And so then after 2 years of getting our master's degree as well as working with the Freire method, Anne had to go back to South Africa, and I couldn't get into South Africa because of my anti-apartheid work. So she got me a place in Swaziland, and we worked on a literacy program in Swaziland together. She would come every other week, and I was there full time. So then we really developed the whole methodology using the literacy work. But then we were both thrown out of Swaziland because the head of the police in Swaziland was a white South African policeman. So we were both thrown out and then found a place for us to work in Kenya. She didn't want to leave South Africa, but she had been working with Steve Biko. Steve Biko was the founder of Black Consciousness, and he was assassinated several years later. And they told Anne she would be jailed, put in prison or she should go into exile. So she went into exile, and that's a long story of how she got there. In any case, so then we worked in Kenya. We developed the program. We worked in all 13 of the 16 dioceses, Catholic dioceses, and that's where the program really we're doing. We then put together all the handouts and all of the methodologies we were using into handbooks. And the handbooks were mimeographed. None of you remember that, but it was a process. You typed on a stencil, and it was put together or printed, and then it was put together in books. And then later on, they were published in Zimbabwe. So that's kind of how we work together. Let me just say another thing. I'm much more of an organizer, and my work in the master's program was organizational development. Anne's was more human relations and personal, like pastoral counseling. And so she was much more, I would say, gracious and open and caring about other people. And I want to show a picture of Anne with Dula, and you can see how much Anne is listening to Shula, and in a very caring, listening way. So between the two of us and our different ways of working, we really melded together a process called Training for Transformation. So that's how it started.
So I have some pictures with Anne. She was a very good listener. I can attest to this. Thank you so much. Now we go ahead. Can you please share for us approaches and transformative mindset that you and Anne instilled in community development work, so that you can highlight some of them?
Yes. Well, I think that one of the things that Anne was very good at, she woke up every morning at about 4 a.m, and she would read serious books on economics, on politics, on liberation theology, on feminism, and she read extensively. And I would ask her at breakfast, I would say, so Anne, tell me what you've been reading. Summarize it for me. And Anne was very, very good at, she was an English major in college at the undergraduate level. So she had a very good way of summarizing and using simple English. And so she had taken all of Freire's work and summarized them into the 6 key principles. And those 6 key principles, I never figured out how she was able to take all of that work and put them into 6 key points. And that has been the bottom line, the key to understanding Paulo Freire. And then we added all the trust building and the teamwork and organizational stuff and lobbying. I became a lobbyist for 10 years in Washington after we were left Kenya. So we had worked in Swaziland. We were thrown out of Swaziland, and then Anne found us a place in Kenya where we worked for 7 years in Kenya and developed a methodology there.
Anne was truly a great impact, and she has contributed immensely to the global community, because we can see the ripple effect of her work in our life and in the lives of so many that will come after us. Thank you so much.
I want to show you another picture. This is Anne and me in South Africa.
Oh.
So I think that's a nice one.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
go ahead.
Thank you so much. What would be relevant in today's world? Can you share useful insights on transformation that are key for the new social, political, and economic context?
Well, I think you're asking about the key parts of training for transformation.
Yes.
Well, I think there are 2 things. One, there are the 6 key principles, which I'm not going to reiterate. They're in our book, Training for Transformation. So I won't reiterate that. But the most important thing, I think, is working in a team. Teamwork is critical because you might get tired or you have to go away for a while or whatever, as well as giving constructive feedback to each other in terms of what do I appreciate about you and what do I find difficult, what I find difficult, and what would I like to see in terms of a change. But in any case, teamwork was critical to keep things going. So when we did the Training for Transformation program, we never trained individuals. It was always a team of people, usually 3 or more. 2 is a little too few, but 3 is an absolute good number of people to work together and help each other so that you can bounce ideas off of each other and you can give each other feedback and you work on each person's strength. So as I was much more the organizer, I would do the last parts of Training for Transformation program when we were doing it in Kleinmont, in face-to-face programs. By the way, and then Anne would do much more of the theory and help people to understand it in a participatory way. That was critical so that it wouldn't be just a lecture, but she could lecture and she would hold people's attention very well. Okay?
Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you so very much. We'll go back to the 5th key and we've imbibed all of these keys. And these are some of the keys that we are using in our own organizations. So thank you so much. And then, what are the crucial keys for nurturing and sustaining any movement?
Well, I think I just mentioned that I should have waited on that. It's the teamwork. It's really important that we have teamwork with everything that we do. So I would say it's teamwork, and I think in order to keep going and not to give up is when you're working in a team, if someone needs to just stop for a while, fine. 2 other people can pick up the work. So it's within a team, it keeps going. Secondly, I think that with teamwork, people help you to keep going because you don't want to let them down. And so you're always there. I think Moses knows that. His father did the illustrations of all of our first 3 books. And we enjoyed working with Chris, his name was Chris Hodgsey, in Zimbabwe to illustrate all of the first 3 books. Anyway, so it just went on, and we didn't expect to build a movement. We were just sharing a methodology for people who are going to work in communities. And why social justice? Because that is what both the Quran and the Bible and values that many people hold, or some people hold, is really so important to how do you carry that out rather than just have it in the head. It's very important to figure out how you can act and do action that will help people move forward. Like in Kleinmont itself, we had a program with people who were living in informal settlements, and they did a protest about getting housing, and in the end they got 411 houses in this small little town, and that was very exciting, and it was lovely that we were there to see it all happen.
Absolutely, it is exciting. And you see, when we act, change happens. So we continue to do little actions. Anytime we act, we see changes, we see transformation. So if we keep quiet, there will be no transformation.
Right.
So it's exciting to see that when people came together and they challenged authority, they were able to get those houses.
Right. I want to say one more thing. One of the things that is happening, as you all know, at least in the United States, we have a fascist or dictatorial government that's come into being here. Very much like Germany, when the Nazis took over government. That is needed is grassroots organizing at the bottom, but then also talking to representatives in Parliament or in Congress, whatever it is, and really having a stopping point. Like, I mean, it's apartheid in Gaza in the Middle East. And so it's a constant being aware. And because Anne did all this reading, I think that we have to be kept up to date on what are the elements of fascism. It's like repeat, and pretty soon people believe what you're saying. So some politician repeats something 100 times or 10 times, people start saying, oh, that must be true. And so it's very, very important to listen carefully, study, keep reading. I think one of the things about Frere's work was when you had a code or a picture or a play about a particular issue, the animator, the person running the group, needs to have studied that issue very strongly so that their questions help them to find out what are the root causes of that issue. So you can't just say, oh, why is it happening, and leave it at that. That you have to have specific questions. Well, why do rich people? Who are the rich people in your town? What kind of influence do they have? And so that you know that they're being led by people that are not like you. And so it's the studying of the issues is really as important as knowing how to facilitate a group.
Thank you so much. I will say that coming to your presence is another great opportunity to learn, and we've learned so much from you and from Anne, and we promise that we'll continue to share this message from generation to another generation.
Thank you so much. I want to show another picture. This is Anne and me. This is Anne at 80 years old and me at 70 years old. And I think that, I tell you, you've seen us age nicely.
Thank you for your time. And next week we will celebrate Anne from Monday till Saturday next week online. And you can please feel free to join us online as we celebrate every day.